Leo screamed. He jerked very hard. He held on to the wire so tight that his palms turned white. He kicked his legs once, and then twice.
All her final food, she was low-key conniving. Then she out here taking
I still freeze when I hear someone talking about Jurassic Park. I've loved the movie since I was a child. I collect posters, figures, and even toys from cereal box bootlegs. Last summer, on a collector's forum, a man put up a prototype set from the original 1993 merchandising line for sale. He stated it originated from his late uncle, who worked on the film's props. I sent him a message saying I would like to buy it. He replied he only accepts local pickup, so I'll have to drive to his place to get it. I got his address and found out he lives on the outskirts. When I reached his house, a weird discomfort ignited in my mind. The house was particularly covered in trees and set back from the main road, as if the forest was attempting to reclaim it. He opened the door before I could knock, as if he had been watching me from within. "Hey, you must be Kyle!" I nodded, smiling. He appeared to be in his mid-40s, wearing heavy glasses that made his eyes appear unnaturally big. He was wearing a Jurassic Park worker shirt. "The toy set's downstairs. I got a control panel, replica, sound reels, and original props. You'll adore it." I paused for a bit. His tone sounded a little too mechanical, like he had rehearsed what he was going to say. But I shrugged it off, thinking he's just a nerd. I followed him down a narrow wooden staircase leading to the basement. The basement door had a yellow and black warning stripe. Above that, the franchise's iconic font says, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." As I set foot inside his basement, I was flabbergasted. It was the whole set. In the corner, a life-size raptor head sprang out from faux jungle foliage. There were muddy tire marks on the ground, indicating that someone had driven a Jeep. Red emergency lights flickered, similar to the scene at the visitor center. Even the iconic music was playing from hidden speakers. It was wild. There were photographs all over the walls, photos of people smiling while posing next to the props. Dude, this is wild! I know, right? Who wouldn't want to spend hours here? Saying this, he turned to me with a big smile. He kept staring without blinking, and that's when I felt my chest tighten a bit. "Where's the toy set?" He took me to the rear of the basement, where he had built an exact duplicate of the movie's computer lab. It looked straight out of the movie. There were screens set up with CCTV capturing various angles of his property. One of the monitors had a live feed of myself. I realized he had been monitoring me since I arrived. He opened the door before I could even knock. He pressed a switch and said, "You know, I tried my best to have a Jurassic Park of my own." I heard something large brush against the artificial trees behind me. As I turned, I saw a raptor animatronic slowly emerging from the foliage, its eyes gleaming in the dark. It screeched so loud that my ears went numb. I rushed to the door and found it locked. When I turned to shout, the man stood behind me. His face looked ominous. "Kyle, you're now a member of the park. Each of the guests..."
Now you tell me he actually made a velociraptor from the actual movie? At that point, the way to escape.
Tribute to the story. I rushed back into the main area to find a way out amidst the disturbing raptor noises and false vines. However, the surroundings were changing now. A fog machine started up. Loud thunderclaps rang out from speakers. The entire space seemed to come to life as the floor panels moved slightly beneath my feet. The lights suddenly went out, leaving me in complete darkness. It felt like I was having difficulty breathing in this madness. Suddenly, I noticed a red emergency light flashing above a cage. I ran towards it, thinking of nothing but survival. But there was a life-sized replica of a baby triceratops within. Not just that, there were torn pieces of human clothing with stains of blood on them. They also piled sneakers, glasses, and watches in the corner. It was clear people had been kept inside this cage. A daunting realization made my skin crawl as I thought about the wall of photos. So this guy lures Jurassic Park fans to his house and then tortures them for his own sick fun. Oh my god, what did I get myself into? Now I was panicking.
Why?
The only sounds and visuals I could make out were thunder, raptor howls, and the man's laughter echoing in the basement. All I could think of was the control panel. I ran back in its direction. I started turning as many switches as I could. Lights flickered and monitors turned on. And suddenly I heard a metal lock click and the basement door opened just a crack. Hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to touch it! I saw the man coming out from the dark, trying to stop me, but I pushed him with all my strength and sprinted to the door. I ran up the stairs without looking back. I could hear heavy footsteps and screams behind me. Once I got out and hopped into my car, the man was already on the porch. I sped out thinking he would chase me. I drove so recklessly that I hit his mailbox. He watched me going through all the emotions at once, but didn't do anything to stop me.
Damn.
I made an anonymous report to the cops about this man, but no leads have surfaced on the matter. I think the cops thought someone was drunk dialing them. Who would believe that a man has built his own personal Jurassic Park at home, where he traps victims to keep with his animatronic dinosaurs?
The cops not gonna believe you.
It happened in the summer of 2004 when I was 12.
2004.
My best friend Leo and I were spending a weekend at my grandparents' property in rural Nebraska. My parents used to drop me out there every summer, but this was the first time they let me bring Leo. We recorded our own version of Jurassic Park using my dad's old camcorder, as we were both major fans of the movie. We rushed across cornfields on Saturday, acting as though raptors were after us. Leo had a toy flare that he would wave around while feigning to divert a T-Rex, and I wore a cowboy hat like Dr. Grant. It was dumb fun, and we laughed the whole time. There was no smartphones back then, only antiquated VHS tapes and imaginations. In the early afternoon, we strolled past the ancient red barn and reached the property's back boundary, which was farther from the house. We noticed the fence at that point. It was a tall wire fence that ran the length of the field, with signs reading "electric fence" spaced every few feet. To most kids, that would be the end of the story. However, we were only 12. We didn't care. We simply took action. That scene in Jurassic Park came to mind right away. The child climbs the electric fence and is blasted off of it when the power comes back on. I pulled Leo's arm and told him, "Dude, the electric fence scene must be performed here. It appears exactly like the film." Leo, on the other hand, looked doubtful about that idea. "Is it truly electric? What if it turns on?" "It's not," I said out loud. "Look, Grandpa doesn't even keep the cows back here in the summer, and there's no noise of them buzzing. It's probably not working. Anyway, you only need to climb for a second, like in the movie. I'll act like I turn it on and count down. Everything will be recorded. It is going to be wonderful." He paused, but I could tell he didn't want to look scared. We were already recording everything on the camera. He looked at me with a nervous smile, took a deep breath, and walked up to the fence. "Ready?" I asked. Leo gripped the wires and nodded. He started the climb. 3, 2, 1. Power's back on! Pointing my finger at him like I was flipping a switch, I yelled. That was the time it happened. There was a terrible snap, like the crack of a whip. Leo screamed. He jerked very hard. He held onto the wire so tight that his palms turned white. He kicked his legs once, and then twice. After that, he stopped moving. I was totally unaware that the fence was on timer. The camera fell from my hand. My heart was beating.
The fence been on a timer? That's why he wasn't shocked in the first few seconds. Dang. And you set him up to die. How?
So fast, I couldn't hear anything else. I ran toward him while screaming his name. He was still hanging on the wire, with his head tilted back and his eyes wide open but not blinking. I didn't know what to do. At first, it hurt my hands when I touched the fence while trying to pull him down. It was turned on, full. We were too far from the house, so no one heard my cry for help. When I realized no one's gonna come, I took off running. I only recalled screaming until my throat dried up and my legs burned. My grandfather ran out to see my face when I arrived at the house. I was unable to even speak. All I did was point. Where I left Leo, they found him. Minutes later, the fence was turned off, but it was too late. He had left. An ambulance arrived after the sheriff. They grabbed the camcorder's tape, and it had all been captured on tape. The ascent, the countdown, the electrocution moment. I didn't see it. I had no desire to.
Wow.
It was determined that the death was an accident. It wasn't my fault, everyone said. I was only a child.
It really wasn't his fault.
However, I was aware that I was to blame. I persuaded him to do it.
You could
it was safe, I said. I didn't talk to anyone for weeks following the funeral. I didn't need much. I stayed up late most nights just to stare at the ceiling and hear his scream over and over in my head. When I closed my eyes sometimes, I could see his legs moving and his scared face. I longed to return. I regret not climbing it with him. The questions, the investigation, or the funeral weren't the most difficult aspects. The most haunting memory for me is recalling the expression on Leo's face just before he scaled the fence. That forced smile, as if he wanted to withdraw but didn't want to disappoint me. More than anything, that look haunts me. I still dream about that fence 20 years later, still floating in the air. Leo is jerking and then stopped moving. I see him in my dreams asking, "Are you sure it's off?" Guilt never goes away. For a while, it simply hides. That tape is still in my parents' attic somewhere. It is no longer discussed. However, I am aware of its existence. I am also aware of what's on it. Since that day, I haven't handled the camcorder. In addition, it has been years since I last saw Jurassic Park. I am unable to. It reminds me too much. The fence, the music, and the dinosaurs all transport me back to that one moment I wish I could take back. I get startled when I pass a metal gate or come across a warning sign. Leo was my best friend, and I killed him. It was meant to be another weekend in the summer, just another stupid reenactment of a movie, but it ended in the worst memory of my life. I was 19 years old when I encountered fear and helplessness at the same moment. After receiving acceptance to a college, I was desperate to find a place that wouldn't deplete all of my student loan funds. I found a post for a shared house only 10 minutes from campus, after looking through dubious listings and expensive dorm rooms. The advertisement was short and straight to the point. Roommate wanted. Rent is reasonable. Separate, quiet, and clean room available. If interested, contact Ryan. His phone number was also mentioned there, so I texted him right away. I received a message back within an hour. Ryan Miller was living in this apartment and needed a roommate to split the rent. That afternoon, he offered to show me around and told me the room had been looking for its master for quite a while. It sounded a little odd, but then I thought maybe I was just nervous about living with someone I didn't know, but I had no other option, and the place sat well enough with my requirements. Ryan was like every normal guy when I first met him. He was quiet, soft-spoken, and maybe a little awkward around women. He told me he was in his mid-20s, worked from home, and loved Jurassic Park a lot. A few pictures in the hallway caught my eye, and his room, well, it looked like a small museum. There were movie souvenirs, model skeletons, and dinosaur figurines on every shelf. He said he's a student of film studies and working on his own independent project. I moved in right away. Everything went well. Ryan spent most of his time in his room. In the kitchen, we had a quick conversation. He inquired as to what I was studying and whether I enjoyed movies before launching into a lengthy discussion about how Jurassic Park was a vision rather than merely a movie. I nodded courteously and had dinner in the living room. I fell asleep fast that night because of the fatigue from the entire day. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up to a weird sound. It was a low rumble. I guessed it was coming from outside, possibly a dog or maybe distant thunder. But the more I paid attention to it, the closer it sounded. At one point, I realized it was coming from within the apartment. This low, deep growl changed quickly into a long, loud screech. It sounded like the scary BGM of movies. I sat up in bed immediately. The heart was racing, and palms were sweaty. The growl continued, and it was coming from the living room. I got out of bed slowly and opened my door just enough to see what's going on. What I saw made my stomach turn. Ryan was down on his knees, crouched in the living room corner. He had on a full velociraptor mask, like the ones you can find in Halloween shops. I heard the same growling sound and understood it was Ryan who was making it.
Over-obsessed with the movie.
His hands were clenched like claws, and he was moving from side to side like he was stalking his prey. I quietly closed and locked my door. I thought it would be safer if Ryan didn't know I saw him, but I thought wrong. Within the next few seconds, soft knocks started appearing on my door, followed by creepy whispers. I know you're awake. I heard you move. I stood next to the door, terrified for my life. Ryan spoke again, and this time louder. I need to talk to you. You're flawless. Just what I was searching for. The missing component of my film is you.
Hey, check. At this point, you gotta think. Being a fan of something is cool, but when you over-obsess with something, then there's another level.
Like he had just switched back to his human form. I asked, attempting to remain calm.
What film?
My version of Jurassic Park. I'm making it again. Better, though. More realistic. And the lead is you. I picked you for that reason. You're here for that reason. My blood froze.
I never consented to this, Ryan.
Yeah.
I have no desire to appear in any film.
About being a person.
You're not getting it. The script was written by me. I've practiced my lines. The raptor requires a target to pursue, someone to yell at. I know your screams will be perfect for my movie.
How you
I moved away from the door.
I'm going to call the cops if you don't leave now.
Silence prevailed for a few seconds. Then I heard footsteps going away. I spent the rest of the night sitting in my bed, watching my phone closely. I jumped at every sound. I couldn't stop thinking about the mask, the swaying gestures, the growls, and mostly how much Ryan wanted to hear my screams. The next thing I remember is that I grabbed my suitcase, packed everything I could put inside, and snuck out the door as soon as the first rays of sunlight hit my window. Ryan's door was closed. I did not bother to tell him that I wasn't spending a second more with him. I never returned. For days, he called me from different numbers. He mumbled phrases from his script into voicemail. The park isn't complete without you. Please come back. I did not respond. I changed my phone number and relocated to a different block. This continued for a month until one day he stopped calling. I was happy that he's gone from my life. But till today, when the lights are turned out and the room is calm, I occasionally see Ryan in the corner wearing that raptor mask, his eyes gleaming yellow in the dark.
I'm glad it didn't go too far, but it could definitely go too far than what it was.